name is Zena Stenvik, Superintendent for Columbia Heights Public Schools. A little bit about Columbia Heights Public Schools. We educate and care about all of our students. Our top priority is the safety of our students, staff, and their families. Our mission is to create worlds of opportunity for each and every learner where all belong and all succeed. Our focus is on educating our children, not politics. Everyone who passes through our doors is a valued member of our community. Over the last few weeks, ICE agents have been roaming our neighborhoods, circling our schools, following our buses, coming into our parking lots multiple times, and taking our kids. So over the last few weeks, I've kept my head down and focused just on supporting our school district, our families, our students, our staff. But as of this week, 4 of our students have been apprehended and taken away by masked and armed ICE agents with no identifying badges. So we decided it was time to speak up and share what's actually going on. The onslaught of ICE activity in our community is inducing trauma and is taking a toll on our children, taking a toll on our families, our staff, our community members. This surge has changed nearly everything about our daily lives. It's clear to me that there are multiple paths immigrants take legally to live and work in the United States, such as sponsorship, seeking asylum, refugee status, or temporary work permit, among others. You're the expert. The young boy Liam and his father, who were taken yesterday, have the documentation. I saw it with my own eyes when I visited the home. With that, I'll turn it over to Chair Granlund.
Thank you. Hi, thank you all so much for being here. My name is Mary Grandlin, and I serve as the school board chair for Columbia Heights Public Schools. Our city is known as a city of peace and was named an All-American City in 2016. We are a small working class community. I've lived there for almost 20 years, and it's a pretty great place to live. And our children should not continue to be surrounded by masked agents brandishing large guns in our neighborhoods and at their bus stops. We want to thank our community and the staff for all of the extra time and energy they've been dedicating to our impacted students and their families on top of their everyday duties. We're lucky to live in a place where the community has wrapped their collective arms around our neighbors. From elected officials to clergy to teachers to community leaders to moms and dads and uncles and aunts, and big brothers and big sisters, and our local police department and first responders. Everybody has worked really hard to continue to make Columbia Heights as safe as it can be during this time. But we've also learned who keeps us safe, we keep us safe. The sense of safety in our community and around our schools is shaken, and our hearts are shattered. And honestly, at the end of the day, children should be in school with their classmates. And we want to focus on the purpose of educating our children. That is why we are here. That is why I was elected. Our schools and communities must be safe places for children and families to thrive. And we need a diplomatic pathway out of this situation. And we are seeking a peaceful resolution, and we need your help. Because at the end of the day, we have whistles, and they have guns.
Thank you. We'll take time for some questions now, and if you can ask who you're directing the questions to, again, Mark, Mary, Zena, so that we can each respond appropriately.
Mark, can I ask you a couple of things? One is, I wanted to just put in your ear, I don't know if you heard this, what J.D. Vance said and the way he described what happened with this family. He said that he went and looked up and researched what happened. He said, what I found was that a 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien, and then they went to arrest his illegal alien father, and the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what were they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? That's how he described what happened. What do you think of that?
Well, first of all, what I'll do is we'll tag team on this answer. So I will answer that, as I said, these are not illegal aliens. They came properly, they came legally and are pursuing a legal pathway. So that's just not accurate. As far as what actually happened, I'll turn it over to Mary.
Yeah. So I was on my way to get my own children from school, and I heard the commotion and saw all the people. And as I got out of my car and came around the corner, I heard, "What are you doing? Don't take the child." His mom, like, there are people here that can take him. There was another adult who lived in the home that was there saying, "I will take the child. I will take the child." Somebody else was yelling. They saw that I was there and said, "School is here. They can take the child. You don't have to take them." And there was ample opportunity to be able to safely hand that child off to adults. And mom was there. She saw out the window, and dad was yelling, "Please do not open the door. Don't open the door," because of the other picture that I'm sure you've seen, where there's a little boy knocking at the door with an ICE agent looming over him.
And just the second question is, are you accusing ICE of using children as bait?
Yes, I mean it's very clear from the pictures, from the videos, from firsthand accounts. I was there. This is what happened.
Can I say too?
Yeah.
One thing we know to be true, because again, we've had 4 students taken, and at least one of our 17-year-old students who was taken, when she cracked open the door, the agents pushed their way in and then apprehended the child and whoever was else in the apartment. So it's been, unfortunately, over the last few weeks, pretty common knowledge about not opening doors because they're pushing their way in, or I'm sure you've all seen multiple examples of like not tearing down doors, which is something that we had happen in Columbia Heights today at a home of 5 of our children.
This is for Mark. Just to be clear, have you had any contact with the boy or his father since they were taken into custody?
We have not had direct contact. We've had indirect contact. We've been trying to set up calls with the Dilley facility, but it's notorious to get that call time. So we're working on it, and we've had indirect contact.
And just to clarify, were you working with this family on their asylum case before this incident, or were you just called in afterwards?
I was just called in afterwards. I've been working on this for 36 hours.
Mark, can you tell us whether the father and son, do you know from the conversations you've had with Senator Smith or other, whether they're being held together or if they've been separated at the facility?
I believe that they're being held together because that's the point of the Dilley facility. It's a family holding center. But I can't 100% confirm that. But I believe that they are together.
For the superintendent, DHS is pretty forcefully online responding to articles both locally and from international outlets that are taking your words about the situation and calling those journalists, and by extension you, liars about this incident. To the best of your knowledge, do you know if their version of events is accurate in the idea that Dad ran away when ICE was there and Liam was left alone in the driveway?
So I haven't seen any of those articles at this point, so I don't have that background. I will say there were when I arrived on scene shortly after Mary was there were several people on scene. So when I exited my vehicle, I immediately said, "Where's the child? Where's the child?" That's what I was there to do, is to collect the child and return them safely to school. And so there were people there videotaping or videoing it. I wasn't there. I would perhaps, our local officers in Columbia Heights Public Schools, they all wear body cams. So perhaps the ICE agents could share their body cams or review their body cams, and they can actually show on video what happened. So we have photo, there were bystanders there, we have video.
Follow-up question to that. DHS in a statement said that the mom refused to accept custody of the child and that the dad insisted that the child go with him. Have you had any communication with the mom to corroborate whether she did say she wanted to keep the child, or if what DHS is saying is true, that she refused to accept custody of the child in this situation?
So when we entered the home, it was really to provide support to the mom. She was obviously very distraught, very terrified. It wasn't an interview type situation for her. We were just there to provide support. I've heard that the father perhaps, I've heard that there's accusations that he perhaps fled. Everything I've heard is that he was handcuffed in the driveway. And what we saw when we arrived on scene was the father's car in the driveway, still running. So the car wasn't turned off. So
And then just
In
a quick
for-
question for Mark. You said that they legally came to the United States or are applying for asylum. What year was that when they came to the U.S.?
2024.
And is that the entire family or just Dad and Liam?
Well, right now I'm focused on Dad and Liam.
Question
Where
for,
originally are they from?
I'm sorry?
Where are they from?
Ecuador.
Question for each of you, if it's okay. Mary, if I can start with you. Nicole Scango with CBS National News. It sounds like you were saying school is here when you first saw ICE agents taking the father into custody. Were you agreeing to accept the child, and can you describe the scene in which other adults were ready and able to take that child?
For sure. So when I arrived, another community member, again, we're a very small community, so we know our neighbors very well. And somebody else saw me and said to the agents, "School is here. The school is here. They can take him." And I said, "Yes, I'm here. I am here. I can help with that."
You offered to take him, and you saw ICE agents drive away with
Yes.
the 5-year-old boy.
Yes. And then I held another community member in their front yard sobbing.
Liam's
they
mother
say
was
anything to
inside
you?
the house.
Did they, like, when you asked them why they were doing that, did they say anything, talk to you?
So, I don't remember if they did say anything back to me. There was a lot of yelling, and there was a lot of people, making a commotion. And so all I can speak to is the part that specifically that I heard and my response
Sorry
to
to
that.
clarify, Liam's mother was inside the house.
I believe so, yes.
Okay,
Did
and
she
question-
say she wanted her child? Was she clearly, obviously saying, just leave him with me?
Again, I was not at that door when that was, as they were putting him in the vehicle and leaving. So.
Question for Mark. DHS officials have said that the father abandoned this child. How does that differ from what your understanding is? You said that they were being held at Dilley. What is your understanding of the conditions in which they're being held? Do you know if Adrian Conejo Arias has any sort of criminal record to speak of? I understand you were saying he was in the asylum process.
Sure, I'll take those in reverse order. To my knowledge, I looked through the Minnesota criminal database and found nothing. So no, there's no crimes here that the family has ever done. And just to go back, so they are, again, Dilley is a family detention center, and I don't know the exact conditions. We have people that are going to be going and trying to visit them there to
You
check
think they're being held together, but you don't know for sure.
Correct. I do not know for sure. I'm assuming so because the federal regulations require that. So I just have to assume that they are following those regulations.
And just lastly, for Zena, you described how 4 different children have now been taken into custody by ICE from your school district.
correct.
What is the feeling right now among students, among parents, among teachers? And can you describe the scenes that you alluded to earlier of ICE agents in parking lots and circling school buses?
Sure. ICE agents came onto our property, our high school property, yesterday afternoon when we were preparing to speak. And obviously we have school district video of that. My understanding is they were on site for about 10 minutes. And what they did is they came into our parking lot and then went into, we have an enclosed loading dock. So you sort of have to go under a portion of the building, which they did, to an enclosed loading dock. There were some staff members out there, some admin, who spoke with them and asked them if they had any business there. And eventually they left after about 10 minutes, though. And so unfortunately, right above that loading dock, there's a large bank of windows. And a lot of our students were up there and saw it. And so I think there's a video, some student put something on social media.
Watched ICE agents
Yes,
outside their
yes,
school.
because it happened during passing time. So students were in the hallway.
Question for Mark. What are the odds that they're able to come home even if they continue to face some sort of legal scrutiny over their asylum case?
So we're looking at our legal options to see if we can free them either through some legal mechanism or through moral pressure. So we're hopeful. We have to be hopeful.
Mark, is the mother, did she not come out because she was concerned she would be grabbed by ICE, or do you?
I would presume that, yes.
Mark, I just have a question for you and then the superintendent as well. Do you know if Liam's parents had DOPA forms and who was listed on them, whether it was a family member, a relative, friend? And how, as a school district, are you set up to handle situations where minors' parents are detained? Is that something where you have policies in place where school district representatives can take custody of the child? Are you legally able to do that if you're not listed on the DOPA form?
I don't know yet if they do, because again, I've only been working on this for about 36 hours and we've had more pressing issues, so that's the next level of our communication with the family for that.
Do they have other children?
I'm going to finish that question. Our school district started working on this a year ago, actually, and there are community law firms that came in pro bono and provided know your rights trainings to our families and provided those DOPA forms to our families. So those are available out there for people to take. Generally, they're not listing school district staff as the recipient. There's generally someone else. I have gotten some inquiries about would that be okay. And so, of course, we have to follow school district policy and state law and all of that. And but I think the comment about would we take Liam into our custody, we wouldn't take him into our custody at the scene, but we could take him back to school and care. And that's, you know, that has been typical of, you know, anytime after school when a parent is late to come picking their child up or something like that, you know, we can hold on to the child until we find, because of course we have the emergency contact list. We would know who to contact if a parent isn't available.
Just for clarity, you have said that you believe that ICE is using children as bait. How so, and in what way? Are you saying that they were trying to use the child to get the mother to come out to take her into custody? And have you seen any other situations where they've used, you know, allegedly used children as bait?
I haven't seen any other situations in that case, but you know, when I came on scene to assess the situation, that's the information that was relayed to me. If you watch the videos that are out there, there are 7, 8 agents all around. I would infer that the mother was probably fearful to open that door, and I've heard on the video the husband telling her to not open the door for fear. So the husband could see what was happening. He was right there. We all seen the photo of the agent there. So, yeah.
But that's what you mean by using as bait, by knocking on the door and trying to get the mother to come out.
Correct.
Do you have any knowledge if the family has any plans to go to Texas to see them or try to get in personal contact with them?
At this point, not yet. Again, I'm focused on this urgent need of a 5-year-old in ICE custody. Right now, that's my focus.
What do you want people to know about this family, about Liam?
Well, we had the opportunity to talk to his preschool teacher yesterday, and she said he was just a wonderful child, a great student, that she and the classmates miss him. My quick, you know, assessment of the family, when I walked in to the house, immediately to the left there was a huge teddy bear, and you know, lots of things available for children to play with, things that you would expect to see. So that really struck me and caught my eye when we walked in. Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about the other 3 students who were apprehended?
So I'm not releasing names. I don't have permission to release names. One was a 10-year-old child who was apprehended with her mother on their way to elementary school. She had been with us and she was in kindergarten and is now in 4th grade. So just imagine, think back to your kindergarten teacher, right? Kindergarten teachers love their children forever and ever. And so all of the teachers in that school were shattered. It was a very difficult day. And then it happened again and again and again. So the other 2, I mentioned the 17-year-old in the apartment, and then on the same day that Liam was taken, that morning a 17-year-old boy was taken from his car on his way to school. The kids just want to come to school. They want to be in school. We want them in school. They want to be in person learning. They thrive. They're happy in school. So like Mary said, it's a really nice community, tight-knit community. Yeah.
Can you say more about that incident you were mentioning, busting down the door with 5 students?
I don't have a lot of information. It happened today. And I can verify it because one of my principals went to the address to check on the family, that the door was broken down. I believe it might be a multi-family unit. And so when I looked up the address, I have 5 students currently residing at that address.
The other 4 students detained, do you know what their status is, where they are, if they're still in custody, if they?
The other 3 students detained. I know that the 10-year-old was taken to Texas as well. I don't know which facility. And the 17-year-olds, I don't know.
Mark, can you speak to the asylum request by this father and son? What were they fleeing in Ecuador? What were the circumstances based on your understanding?
That I'm not willing to talk about because asylum claims are confidential.
Do we know if Liam's mom is a U.S. citizen?
I'm not sure I'm ready to talk about that either. Right now, I'm focused on getting Liam out of ICE custody, but thanks for the question.
You speak to the fact that they're in Texas right now. How challenging does that make this for you versus if they were detained somewhere closer? And you alluded to this earlier, but why do you think ICE officials moved so quickly to transfer them to Texas?
I just saw a report that just in Minnesota in the past few weeks, immigration lawyers have filed over 300 habeas petitions in the state of Minnesota. And with a habeas petition, you have to file it in the jurisdiction where the detained person is. And it makes it a lot harder for lawyers to file habeas petitions in Texas when we're up here in Minnesota. And so that's presumably the strategy for moving them that quickly. When I'm dealing with the courts, I can work with the courts from a distance. But when I need to communicate with my clients to talk them through the process, that's where it gets difficult. So if they live in Texas, that's fine. I can communicate them by phone, Zoom, email. But when they're detained, I'm at the whim of the detention facility's controls about when and how long I can talk with them.
Have you already filed a habeas petition?
No.
Or do you plan to?
That's part of our legal strategy. We're working on the best solution for them.
Can you talk about some of the kids? Can you talk about some of the kids? Like, what are they asking the teachers? Are they noticing their classmates' absence? What are they asking you guys?
So we are trying to provide a normal school day as best as we can for children. It is challenging. There are children who are absent. The other week, I had to direct staff to hold indoor recess instead of letting children out because there was ICE activity. And of course, now there have been gunshots in the state of Minnesota when there's ICE activity. And so if it's happening near our playgrounds, I will bring them in so that there's no risk for our children. So I went over to that school and talked with some of the kids, and I did have a child who's maybe 4th or 5th grade say, "Are we having inside recess because of ICE?" And so even our youngest children are aware of what is happening all too well. I mean, they see it, we see it far too often on a daily basis in our community.
Superintendent, I know that we've talked about the Vice President's comments here, but while he qualified it by saying he knows that it's always a difficult situation when a child is involved and mom or dad are both, in his view, need to be arrested by law enforcement. He acknowledged that's tough, but he also effectively said that he didn't have a problem with how this went down once he did research into this specific issue. What would your response to him be if he's listening to you tonight?
We've had 4 children taken from my school district, and that's far too many. That's 4 too many, right? We would like to focus on teaching children and providing learning opportunities for children. That's our main focus. So I don't get into the politics. We really just want children to be reading and writing and learning science and all of the subject areas. And so that is what prompted me to speak out, is because I had heard that the approach was supposed to be targeting hardened criminals or violent criminals, and that they weren't targeting children. But when I see them at bus stops and circling my schools, like up and down the street, I have seen it with my own eyes, the same people.
In gear, in tactical gear.
Yeah. So that's what prompted me to speak out. I mean, I this isn't what I aim to do. I just aim to be taking care of our children, right? And I would like to be able to do that. And when children and their families and my staff are fearful, I'm telling you, it's really taking a toll.
Have there been any clashes between, like I drove past the school today and there are police everywhere. Have there been any clashes between local authorities and federal agents?
Not to
Not-
my
no,
knowledge.
not-
I don't
not to
represent
my-
the police department,
yeah.
but not to my knowledge.
Not that I've heard either. Yeah.
Are you in touch with other school districts that are dealing with this? I mean, you're obviously the first to publicly acknowledge this, but what has that conversation been like?
Yeah, actually, the superintendents here in the metro area and across the state of Minnesota are very close. We have a Minnesota Association of Superintendents organization that works together, and we definitely have these conversations. My understanding is that Senator Kunesh will be having a press conference on Tuesday at the state capitol and has invited school officials to be there.
Superintendent, you talked about keeping kids inside during recess
Yeah.
because of ICE activities. We've heard, parent patrols outside of schools. Can you talk a little bit about what's going on outside of your schools during arrival and dismissal times? Have you had to call in local law enforcement to help with that? And also earlier this month, the governor said that he was considering whether there should be a state presence at schools to help ensure students get to and from school. Is that something that you would want to see the state take action on?
And I'll just say that'll be the last question.
Thank you, Kristen. So I communicate regularly with our local law enforcement. They mentor and coach our basketball team. They have open gym with our students. They do cooking competitions with our students. So we're in regular communication, and they're very supportive. And at the same time, we understand what the line is, local police department versus federal immigration, right? They're around because we have a youth outreach officer whose office is in a city-owned portion of our gym, I guess is the best way to describe it. So they are around on a daily basis. Particularly our one officer, who is a graduate of our high school, by the way, very proud. Yeah, with his therapy dog. We do have parent volunteers who have, of their own accord, chosen to be more present at arrival and dismissal. We also have had a number of staff who, again, of their own choosing, have been more present at arrival and dismissal.
And as for the governor's proposal,
Last question.
just in terms of the piece about earlier this month, the governor suggesting a state presence, is that something you would welcome?
What I'm requesting is a peaceful resolution to this situation. So I'm not requesting state officials to come to the school district. I'm requesting that we find a peaceful resolution out of this situation. Diplomatic and peaceful. That's what I'm requesting.
Thanks everybody for your interest, and I hope that you get this out so that everybody knows about this. But thanks again for coming.
Thank you very much. If anyone has any questions about spelling or anything like that, let me know.